So who are we and how do we practice? Well, for us, Freehaus is a growing RIBA chartered practice, building its reputation through a combination of sensitive design-led interventions with historic contexts and across the residential, commercial and community sectors. And through our work, we really strive to communicate the impact that good design can have on the way we live and the way we interact with one another. We put people at the core of our practice to design spaces accessible to all, and we believe that projects should be rooted in their context. We are advocates of creating local collaborative opportunities so that buildings that we deliver can add meaningful social and economic value to their communities and to their end users. So, from our beginnings, Freehaus is a limited company, and it's led by myself and co-director Jonathan Hagos. The studio was founded upon our shared social values and our hunger to work at a civic scale. This is an image of our first office in London Fields, which we rented from a branding agent called Here Design in return for architectural consultancy services and time. This collaboration also introduced us to a number of early F&B clients such as Ottolenghi. Freehaus was founded now 9 years ago in my back bedroom, which ironically is pretty much where I am again today due to COVID. And John and I have worked together now for some 12 years, but we also have vague recollections of bumping into one another at the Bartlett where we studied and overlapped. Our relationship is really based on a healthy respect for one another's expertise, skills, and a shared passion for design. We have, of course, become firm friends, and practicing together provides enormous support through the inevitable highs and lows. Today, we are a team of 7 of architects and graphical backgrounds, and Beatrice sits at the heart of all we do, shaping our graphical and digital presence and crafting our tone of voice. But this important role is also a fee-earning role, and we often provide branding and graphic design service to our clients in support of our architectural outputs. John and I are always looking to the future, and having recently welcomed Punya to the fold, our next target is to find some part-time administrative support and to consider how we better develop our BIM delivery skills. So our journey. Well, our strategy has always been to seek out opportunities through projects with multiple stakeholders. This was perhaps the most evident in our early food and beverage works. We would typically work for an operator, but then develop a relationship with the clients and stakeholders along the way. And this has afforded us opportunities to work for institutions such as the V&A, the Natural History Museum, which in turn has led us into local authority work, GLA work, and more recently to big practice collaboration. So this strategy has enabled us to remain nimble and not to overly commit to any one sector, especially private residential, as we try to keep a consistent balance between community, residential, and workspace outputs. It's taken us about 8 years to get this balance right, but we're currently positioned fairly well. So the effort that's gone into that, so some statistics for you. So we now have actually had over 200 project opportunities in those 9 years. 71 proposals have not actually been accepted or gone anywhere. So we probably have a hit ratio of about 55%. In our early years, we purposely steered away from competitions because of the long odds and the cost of the investment, and preferred instead to grow relationships. Our plunge into competitions really only started in year 6 or 7, when we felt more confident. We'd established a more sophisticated brand identity, a call to action, and had refined our ethos. This also coincided with a better appreciation of our clients' needs through the delivered work that we achieved. And critically, we had established a professionally photographed portfolio of delivered work. So these are a handful of our successful projects and competitions in recent years. As you can see, we've got the RBA Bookshop, the Africa Centre, the Trampery, 3 Mills with Gork Scott, and a Havering Innovation Centre. There is more good news to come, so watch this space. So where have we actually chosen to invest in these past 9 years? Well, first off, it's defining our targets. So we business plan rigorously on a 1-year, 5-year and a 10-year basis, but we use really simple tools for accessibility to the data we have. Every year, we spend a day analysing our previous year. We spend another day setting our targets and communicate these openly to the team, including our financial standing. All employees then develop yearly KPI targets that develop from the business plan. Over the past year, we have actually given up our studio and instead have chosen to invest in people to lighten the load and maintain a healthier work-life balance. So we have 2 yearly excursions, one at Christmas, one in the summer, and often these are architectural, but at the same time, we really just enjoy going out to the seaside, eating well, and enjoying each other's company. We also then focus on fee psychology. We spend an awful lot of time trying to win the right time of work on the right type of terms. And when preparing fee bids, we almost never give a single answer. We want to share this because profitability shouldn't be seen as an architectural sin. It's a responsibility we have to one another. It reduces poor working cultures and creates viable opportunities for the next generation. We need to think collectively on this matter, raise the bar, and value our profession. So this is how we do it. For domestic clients, we always provide 3 levels of service: value, standard, and premium. We find that by using fee psychology techniques like ring fencing, upselling, and providing bolt-on scenarios, much the same as supermarkets do, that we're really better able to predict our consumer choice. Ring fencing, what we consider to be value, also prevents chipping and bargain hunting. The same applies for our commercial clients. So rather than provide a lump sum for a project stage, we break it down and separate out fee elements to demonstrate how we build up the fee for transparency and to protect itemized service delivery. We always make a profit on site and we get paid for the services we provide. This is usually a surprise to many of our contemporaries, but our secret is really simple and it's a line that goes in all our fee letters, and we want to share this. It's as simple as this. We invoice on an hourly rate basis. This is because our input can vary greatly from project to project, and so much depends on the performance of the client's chosen contractor. If the contractor performs well, then our involvement will be limited. If they perform badly, our involvement may greatly increase. So I'd really welcome people to take that and try it out. We also seek to look at alternative fee generation. So I've already touched on the diversity of our project outputs through the skills of Beatrice. So here we're happy to embrace communications. This is on our community project where actually we also provided a website and graphical materials to help the public consultation and community engagement process. With Beatrice on board, we're keen to provide holistic designs. So not only architecture, interior architecture, but also packaging and collateral information. And likewise, artworking, if they enhance our architectural outputs. So we never do this stuff independently, but we do it to underpin our architecture. And we've also started to look at products like tables and door handles, and this is an example of one of them that is now inside the museum. So obviously royalties are always welcome bonus to any monthly billing. Moving on, so co-design and co-authorship. So fundamental to our ethos. And we've also always sought to embrace co-design within our work because this empowers end users and emboldens the communities with which we work. Engagement is also empowering for the more junior members of our team. There are skills and opportunities that can be developed without years of experience, and they make really positive project contributions. There is also no better way to learn than to live a project brief. These activities are always an investment, but time and time again, we find that the returns outweigh the effort. The RIBA Ambassadors Programme saw us deliver a workshop to 90 year 9 students exploring the notion of streets without cars. And this was later then used by the GLA as an exemplar engagement in their Good Growth by Design publication. And these images help to support our bids. At Whitchurch, we undertook door-to-door canvassing and held a fun day for local residents to showcase their support for our pavilion proposals, which enriched the brief no end. And at 3 Mills with Gawk Scott, we have proposed a paid internship to create a project ambassadorial role with ties to the local school as part of our successful bid. So through our community-focused work, it's also made us an attractive collaborator for larger practices. And through this, we've established working relationships with practices such as Studio Egret West, Gawk Scott, DHA, and Morrison Company. And finally, to specialisms. Spearheaded by John and I, we encourage all of our team to find specialisms and to find their individual role. This improves skill sets and the bidding potential, but it also stimulates and creates identity. John is an RIBA conservation registrant, and the few slides here of our Balsen headquarters in Hanover, Germany, where we are refurbishing this amazing arts and crafts building. I have become a Passed House certified designer, and there are a few slides here of our Clement James Learning Centre in West London, where the landscape and external teaching spaces have become as important as the built form itself. And likewise, Lawrence is working at Manchester University with the students there and assisting with our BIM transition. Punya teaches at Metropolitan University. Beatrice has recently become a mental health first aider. Jasmine is a founding member of the Feminist School of Architecture, and Mimi is championing our CPD and studio social welfare. But not all goes according to plan, and like all practice, we face significant challenges along the way. So I wanted to share just a few of those with you today. Firstly, the unpredictability of small contractors. Contractors go pop and disappear, and in this arena, very fast, and despite all the fact checking and the contract paperwork and the references we take, we still find from time to time that our clients can be put in very, very challenging situations. I'm navigated around these issues successfully, but I do think it's an area the industry could prepare small practitioners for more robustly and for the challenges of this scale of work. We also believe that party wall insurance should be mandatory. Next one is how to better own our message. So we're at a stage where we need ever greater sophistication in our messaging. People are writing about us, they're talking about us, but are they saying the right things? We want to be known for delivering meaningful architecture that provokes measurable societal change by championing our collective talents and our skill sets and our values. Like everyone, PI insurance, premiums and expectations are going one way. We're seeing, like everybody, exclusions for fire and basements creeping in. And this is often compounded by local authorities asking for greater level of PI insurance to cover smaller and smaller jobs, to undertake bespoke contract types. We've been recently asked by one local authority for 5 million PI insurance for a £750,000 fit-out job under deed for what is essentially a temporary project that would last 5 years. So our message today is don't be afraid, push back and question what is reasonable, and really start your PI renewal at least a month early this year and shop around. Redefining our working practice and our COVID world is our next challenge. As I said, we've recently given up our studio, so our team is working from home and our collaborations have been less hierarchical, so there's been some really good results. But what is next? We now need to redefine our expectations of flexible working and define what a positive studio might look like in the future. We are also transitioning to BIM from MicroStation and to AutoCAD and Revit. We are engaging with nitty gritty, but we are also being supported by Morrison Company, who have kindly offered to mentor us. Our message here is be open, be inquisitive, and you'll be amazed at who will help. And finally, the summer is just around the corner, which always makes me think of Regent's Park and Softball Wednesdays. But most of all, it reminds me just how much architects like to socialise with architects and others in the built environment. So equally, as we emerge from lockdown, I'm certain that the greater professional collaboration and shared experience will be pivotal to our industry's success as we move forward. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Tom. Really, really interesting. I'm sure a few people will have perked up when they heard about your fees strategy, and I'm curious to hear. Maybe some people could would be happy to share some feedback if anyone, for example, is also invoicing hourly at stage 3, the same that you are doing, and what their experience has been. Or also about the fee strategy. So anyone who would like to comment or ask a question, or again, relate some of their own experience back, please feel free to post in the chat or raise your hand, and we will invite you into comments. Okay. So I'm actually interested, in the meantime, Tom, to hear a little bit more also about your experience now of having given up your office entirely. How long has that been?
Well, we gave up our office, I think, after the first lockdown.
Okay.
I think we did it. We're small, and we can afford to be really nimble. And I think as a small practice, that's one of your greatest assets.
Yeah.
The ability to move quickly. So yes, we gave up our office after the first lockdown, and everybody has been working from home and remotely since then. We've actually found it very positive, and I think by taking away the pressures of returning to work and returning to an office environment has actually freed us all to be focused on the outputs of projects. It's taken away this sort of cloud that's hanging over us about how would we do it safely, what would we do. But ultimately, I think we are creators who want to come together again. Some of the tactics, some of the things we've been doing in the interim is when we have been able to, is meeting up remotely because we're so few. And until recently, we've only been 6, so we've been meeting up externally or going, for a picnic or going for a walk. Just to have that interaction. It's been very challenging for new hires, I think, in this period. We've had 3 people start with us during lockdown periods. So it seems very strange sending off computers without meeting people. So we're craving the opportunity to get back together, but it's really fundamentally trying to work out what that looks like and what sort of space we need. But we're sure there's going to be better value space out there. So yeah, we're keen to pick up on that later in the year, probably.
Okay, so that's one to revisit. We've also had a question from Andrew, who asked whether you have a fixed amount or time period for when you invoice your hourly fees.
Yeah, I mean, we do, it's basically on site. So as soon as we hit RIBA stage 5, that's what our fee strategy says. So there's no, for domestic clients, we're very transparent about it. We essentially we take the RIBA plan of works and divide it into 3 parts. You have a third up to planning, a third for technical design, and a third on site, and we budget that third on site. So they get an understanding of how much time should be allotted to it. It very much then depends on the performance of that contractor. And some clients win, some do not. But the point is, we still get paid for the services that we inevitably have to deliver because of somebody else's performance. And we just see that. And when we explain that to a client, they seem to think that's very, very clear. How could we possibly be asked to give a fixed lump fee for a service that we don't know nothing about when we're completely beholden to a contractor that hasn't even been picked yet and we don't choose? So I think if we talk to our clients clearly, they're usually quite reasonable about it. I think when you're in that situation as well, then you also have the power of free, or the power to say, I won't charge for that. And that goes a long way. But you're doing it in a situation that you are in control of, one that isn't going to break the bank, one that you can afford to do to continue good client relationships, good professional outputs.
And a follow-up question actually related to contracts. Do you work mostly with traditional contracts or design and build?
Yeah, we have tried a number of contracts. We've tried the RIBA suite. We've tried and we also use obviously the JCT suites. More and more, we are finding ourselves using JCT with contractor design portions because of exclusions to contracts, because of PI exclusions. So typically, when you think about any London house with a coal chute, which could be classed as a basement, even there, we're talking about waterproofing by specialist contractor portions or so on and so forth. So yeah, that's really where we go. But again, depending on the value, we'll choose the appropriate contract type.
Okay, I mean, and you mentioned contractors again, and obviously the issues you're having with smaller contractors that you raised during the presentation. I mean, have you found any? I mean, are there any tips you can share with?
Well, this is it. I think this is a really hard one because contractors do come and go. We find that we do references, we check with people, we go and see their work, we make sure they've got all of their insurances in place, we do everything that the contract will ask us. But I think you just have to go above and beyond. I think this party wall insurance, I think, is something that obviously can't sit within a contract because it's not between contracted parties. It involves a contracted party and a neighbour. But there are additional insurance premiums that can be bought that I would highly recommend, and I think they should be mandatory. You never have a crystal ball. You never know what a contractor might think of doing. So I think that's a good catch-all. And
we have a few more minutes left. I mean, I think it would be definitely quite interesting to hear a little bit more, dig a little deeper into your fees strategy, Tom. So you said you're ring fencing certain services.
Well, yeah, I think by setting out what your valued solution would be and putting it on a piece of paper next to your standard services, what you find is that a client will try and get a good value out of your standard services, but your fee will never be diminished to the value line if they're wanting standard services, because it's already itemized there that is what you get. So you can better narrow down the toing and froing and the margins, I think, for what a client, how they will respond by doing that. And again, by putting in a premium, some clients do choose it service, but at the same time, even somebody taking a standard service will see that there is this fee that they're looking at isn't exhaustive. Some clients do ask for more. So actually, it just helps to frame people's reference a little bit.
Do you find that any particular items, upselling items, are particularly in demand or sell particularly well?
Well, I think well, obviously visualizations, things like that. Just do your three for two offer, or do what the shops do. They're masters at it. Go to the supermarket and just see what they do and follow suit. But I think it's also just breaking it down. Making sure you get a separate fee for principal designer role. Make sure that if you're going to do contract administration, you list that that's a role that is different to that of an architect, so that they can see the value in the service that you're offering.
Absolutely. And actually, Julian asked if it hasn't happened to you ever that a client might be tempted to actually reduce your hours on site with that hourly payment model to save money. Has that been a concern ever?
Yes, yeah, that does happen, and we have to accommodate that. But again, it's an open conversation about what the impacts of that reduction would be.
Sure. At least you're having that conversation then.
Yeah, it's always about having the conversation up front. And like I say, we don't go in this to hoodwink anybody. We lay out what a typical project should deliver on site. And we think 30% of your overall fee is quite reasonable for the services of a standard contract type. And if everybody gets on and does the right thing, that should be more than enough.
Okay, and Tom, maybe to conclude, I'm going to ask you what David posts. What is bringing you the most pleasure in your work at the moment, and what is maybe one of the greatest challenge you're grappling with?
Right.
Just small questions too.
Just small questions to finish up with. I think I'm just really enjoying the team we've got right now. We're delivering fantastically well. There's a really buoyant atmosphere in the virtual studio. We're obviously using tools like Slack and Teams to stay together throughout the day and have conversations. But I just think that we're finding our feet and the phone is ringing. So that's really, really enjoyable. The challenging things I think are always probably the transitions, these clunky moves you have to make. So, the clunky move through using one program to another, investing in those outputs and those necessary changes. And then, like everybody, I think, that runs a small business from day to day, it's, gosh, where's the next job coming from? To, oh my goodness, we've got it. Now, how are we going to deliver it? So that normal roller coaster.
Yeah, everyone will be able to sympathize with that. So, well, Tom, thank you so much for joining us today and being the first to speak. And see, my colleague Tom has just posted a link to the next talk, which will be on the 28th of May. And will be held by Sue Stringfellow of Harrison Stringfellow, who are based in Liverpool. So hopefully we'll see you there again. And and I hope you all have a wonderful rest of the week and see you soon.
Thank you.